As folks join in, we will get started with our webinar, which is being recorded. Feel free to use the chat feature to communicate or ask questions. And Simone will make sure that all of them get answered, whether along the presentation or at the end of it. So welcome to Manatee Community Foundation's Nonprofit Support Webinar. We are here to share some insights on how we can best partner with you and support you and the incredible journeys that each one of our nonprofit partners are leading to make our community a better place. And with that, I'll start with our mission, which is partnering with our citizens to strengthen and enhance our community through philanthropy, education, and service, now and forever. That is what we do and how we want to support you, our donors, and our community at large. We're very, very honored to enjoy our partnerships, and we thank you. And with that, let me share a bit about our agenda and what you can expect for today. Of course, our welcome to this webinar, the initiatives that engage our nonprofit partners, of which there are many, our agency funds, and how you can make the best of one of them in planning for your future and long-term sustainability, program-related investments, which is a very unique thing MCF gets to do in the impact investing space. Our philanthropy team will share more about how to engage with them and the work they do in our community. We will learn a lot about our new giving catalog and giving hub and how that can showcase you in front of our donors and our community at large. You'll learn more about our community room and how to use it as an extension of your brand and your space, and we want to hear. And a bit more about Manatee Connects. And I know many of you already participate actively of our learning opportunities through Manatee Connects. And of course, our grants and our new grant process that is designed to improve your experience and make it swift and effective. And you'll hear a lot more about that from Simone. So with that, let's get started. We have initiatives in MCF specific to our nonprofits and many, many others that are more donor directed or board directed. The ones I wanted to chat about for a minute with you today is the affinity groups that interlace with our nonprofit partners more directly. And as you see the bottom right, there's a QR code to learn more about specifically the Changemakers Collective. So I'll give you one or two sentences about each, and by all means, please use the chat feature to ask questions and let us know what you'd like to hear more about related to these affinity groups, but also any other pieces of our presentation. So what is the Latino Collaborative? The Latino Collaborative was established by MCF about a year and a half ago in partnership with our incredible Unidos Now team and the Dream Center in Sarasota. And the purpose of it was to coalesce and connect all of our Latino serving and Latino led nonprofits who are facing the incredible growth in our population in that particular segment and whose service lines are taxed to the max today. So we meet, we learn together, we have completed a couple of surveys to understand our region. We have developed a guide that helps support our nonprofit partners who support in turn families that perhaps have mixed status in them. So if you need a guide to help those families, please let us know. And we also learn how do we best support each other and how we limit duplication of work, and then we identify areas in the space of the Latino Hispanic community that are not being served, and we come up with solutions to fill those gaps. So if you're not a member of the Latino Collaborative and you serve those populations, or you are led by a leader in the Hispanic Latino space, please let us know and would love to have you join. We meet about quarterly, but sometimes we meet more than that. And for the most part, our meetings are on site and sometimes in Zoom. Also, the Child Care Alliance. This was another affinity group created by MCF specifically in partnership with all of our nonprofit organizations that work in the space, led by the ELC's CEO, rather, Daryl King and myself, we have our business organizations that participate. So the Chamber, the EDC, the Lake Orange Business Alliance. We have our community members from a city and county government who serve on it. Our friends at Women's Resource Center serve on it, and a couple other organizations as well. And our goal is to reduce the impacts of lack of childcare in our community by providing affordable, available, and program-rich childcare. If you follow the stats, last year about this time, 340 kids lacked childcare that were on waiting lists to get in spaces. And today that list is more about 550. So we have a growing population, which is part of the challenge, and we have disincentives for childcare centers to open, such as impact fees. So we are trying to navigate those spaces and encourage our employers to consider being part of the solution. But what I'll have to say is a lot has improved, and that is the rate of enrolled children in childcare has improved, and the success of them being ready to enter kindergarten has improved as well. So some good wins, though much work ahead. So if you'd like to be part of that Childcare Alliance, or if your mission intersects with it, please let us know. Changemakers Collective. This is one of Simone's most amazing pieces of work. She has done incredible work to elevate minority leaders leading nonprofits in our region to skill up and to build capacity. It is an intense learning experience that is a series of Monday evenings and some homework in the presence of great instructors and trainers who deliver anything from HR to strategic planning to fundraising and any other skills that our nonprofit partners may need in a small cohort that's dedicated to elevating these minorities in our nonprofit field. So if you know of one who you believe deserves an investment and might benefit from it, please let Simone or myself know so we can add them to our list for future cohorts. And COAD, Community Organizations Active in Disaster. If you are not part of COAD yet, you must be, because this has the network that will get us ready for the next eventuality, whether it's a storm or another disaster, maybe one we can't even imagine, like COVID. COAD is a coordinated group of nonprofits, organizations from the government space, from business spaces, and other community-based organizations like churches and religious entities who come together to prepare for and to respond after disasters. It is led by our county friends, United Way and Manatee Community Foundation, with United Way being our lead agent, coordinating our meetings, our agendas, and connecting resources to our nonprofits. So again, if you are not part of COAD, you absolutely want to be. That is a group that is about 400 strong, and a lot of resources, time, and grants will be dedicated to this group. So I'll pause here to see if we have any readily available questions. Simone. And Simone's shaking her head, so we will move forward and we will still answer any questions at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'll pass the baton on to Jacob Kinsel, who is our Director of Finance and Operations, and he will share about agency funds, PRIs, and a bit more. So Jacob?
Thank you. I wanted to take the time just to share two opportunities and benefits that we offer to the nonprofit organizations in our community. The first one is an agency fund held at the Community Foundation. That is a dedicated fund established by a nonprofit organization to help manage its long-term assets, providing a stable source of revenue while benefiting from some of the professional investment management that we have here at the Community Foundation. Um, Recently, Manatee County came out that 68% of nonprofit organizations have 3 months or less of worth of reserves on their financials and in their bank account. And we know just on a federal level and even on a local level that a lot of nonprofits are experiencing funding cuts. One of MCF's recent surveys revealed that 60% of nonprofits have been affected by nonprofit or by funding cuts, and 50% expect to have more cuts in the future. Um, so a benefit of establishing an agency fund with the community foundation is really for that long-term sustainability of organizations who are in the position to tuck away money for the future and for um, a stable source of revenue. And partnering with Manatee Community Foundations, we get to work with our advisors at Northern Trust to help provide just another tool in your tool belt to manage your reserves, your endowments, and your quasi-endowments designated by your board. Quarterly, you'll get a fund statement with agency fund, just showing you the returns you're receiving on the investment held at the community foundation. And as always, we're available for questions about the funds that you do hold at the community foundation, and we welcome those. And then we'll go on to the next opportunity, which is the program related investment fund, or we call it PRI. We've been blessed with an incredible opportunity from one of our donors to establish a program related investment fund where we get to offer short-term bridge loans that are generally 4 years or less. Those bridge loans are to help establish new or expanding programs or to help capital campaigns that are leading to expanded programs within the community. For an organization to be qualified, they have to have demonstrated financial health, and they have to demonstrate the ability to repay the loan within the loan period. If you have any questions or you have any opportunities for us to help use these program-related investment funds with one of your organizations, please reach out to myself, and I can give you the information for the application process for a PRI loan with the Community Foundation. But we just wanted to make sure that this information was available in the community so that we can help carry out one of our donors' wishes, and that's to help grow nonprofits in our community. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the philanthropy team.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning, everybody. My name is Max Schmitz. I am the Director of Philanthropy here at MCF, and I make up 1/3 of the philanthropy team along with my colleagues Yolanda and Fallon. Our email addresses are here on screen. You can also get our contact information from the MCF website, along with that of all my other wonderful colleagues. And a large part of our role here as the philanthropy team is to really build and steward the relationships with our donors. We get to know them, we get to know uh, their philanthropic interests, and then we help turn those philanthropic dreams into a reality through the creation of funds that are really specifically tailored to the goals of our donors. These can be donor advised funds where the donors get to make grant advisements to nonprofit organizations throughout the year. They can also be field of interest funds where the donor sets some parameters, and then those dollars can become part of our competitive grant cycle on a quarterly basis. They could also be scholarship funds to help where students can apply for help with education. And then another one that I want to point out, Jacob talked about agency funds. Another tool that might be helpful for you when you're working with your own donors would be designated funds. These are where a donor can can make a grant to the community foundation that is designated for one or more specific nonprofit organizations. So this could be if a donor has a large windfall or sells a business or some other assets and needs to make a large one-time gift, but then wants to designate that to your organization, we can set it up so that distributions are made on a periodic basis, could be annually, quarterly, monthly, however the donor would like to set it up. This can also be an endowed gift that would have an annual distribution policy to benefit your organization in perpetuity. So these are different than agency funds in that the money does not come from your organization, it comes from an outside donor. And additionally, designated funds can be set up where they can receive donations from multiple donors to benefit one organization. So it's an opportunity to take advantage of our investment opportunities, our administrative management and can help give your donors confidence in gifting a large amount. Um, Another thing that we do as part of the philanthropy team is, as we're getting to know our donors' philanthropic interests, we're able to pair them with causes that they care about and opportunities that are current within the community. So, as we know, as we learn about the things that you all are working on, we can go to our donors that we think might be interested in supporting and let them know about the opportunity to maybe make an extra, a grant for some extra support. And then we are also working on rolling out a new donor survey where we will be assessing the areas of interest and concerns amongst our donor base, as well as getting a sense of any emerging issues that they might know about in the community. And then we'll use that data to inform our strategy going forward. You can go to the next slide, please. And I will tell you a little bit about some of our donor engagement opportunities. Um, our flagship donor engagement series is called Breakfast Club. This is our annual education series where we bring our donors to a nonprofit organization, feed them a light breakfast. We get to tour the facilities and meet the program providers, and it really helps our donors gain a deeper understanding of our nonprofit partners and the work that you all are doing. These breakfast clubs are held monthly from October through April, and then they include a mission medley, which is held here at the Community Foundation and would be a group of nonprofits that maybe don't have a singular headquarters, or maybe they work out of a smaller space and don't lend themselves necessarily to a full morning's tour. So we invite them to come here and give a quick pitch about what they do and the work that they're doing so that our donors can get to know them as well. We're also doing an arts panel this year. Similarly, will be held at the Community Foundation with a group of nonprofit organizations that are all focused on arts and culture here in Manatee County. Then we also do a couple other donor education events throughout the year as needed. We just recently held one on cybersecurity, and then coming up in April, we'll do another one on the philanthropic trends in our region. And then we have a Legacy Society breakfast that we do every November. This is for our Legacy Society members, those donors that have pledged to leave money to the community once they pass to secure their legacy. And then every March we do Spirit of Manatee, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, where we really recognize the people in our community that are doing a lot to help uplift this community. And I will now turn it over to Fallon, who can tell you a little bit about our grants catalog.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Fallon Markwell. I am a part of our philanthropy team, and I'm grateful to be spending some time with you this morning to share a little bit about an exciting tool that we will be utilizing in the near future. So that is our grant catalog, and our grant catalog is a feature that facilitates co-funding, is what I'll call it, for nonprofits. So it allows MCF fund advisors and the public to donate to a specified list of funding requests. All donations, as usual, are made to the foundation, which then makes grants to the nonprofits. So the grant catalog will be available, we predict, in the coming month or so. And there's a few different ways that grant opportunities make their way into the grant catalog. One is through our competitive grant cycle, and each cycle, has the specific designations, and at the end of it, MCF, our Community Investment Committee, identifies the underfunded projects to be featured in the grant catalog. Not all underfunded requests will be included, as the final selection is at the discretion of the committee. Our long-term capital projects in our community will also be eligible for the grant catalog. This is something that MCF invites nonprofits to, if they have an active capital campaign, they can submit an application to be featured in the grant catalog. And lastly, as a part of our community initiatives, we have our Changemaker Collective, which is excellent, and we love all of our participants there. They are invited as a special perk of being included included in our collective to have any fundraising opportunities listed in the grant catalog. So we're excited to unroll this, to see our donors be better connected with opportunities that are some of our largest needs in our community and that really serve our most vulnerable populations. And with that, I will pass it over. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Bostic. I'm your office manager and executive assistant for the MCF team. We are so fortunate to have two beautiful spaces for our community nonprofit partners to use at their convenience. We have a new meeting room request link that is found on our website, and we have AV and Wi-Fi in both spaces. Food and beverage and catering are allowed for you to bring in. Space is confirmed with an MCF events calendar invite once you go through the survey, and probably you and I chat on the phone about the best date and time so it doesn't overlap with any other nonprofit or community members' needs. And on the layout that you see, there are 3 or 4 different kinds of layouts you can do in the big community room. Those tables and chairs all have wheels. They're easy to move around. And I always put in a half an hour above time and below time for tear down and setup. The boardroom capacity is a standard boardroom of 12, and our community room capacity can go up to 72. It's pretty comfortable. Our restrooms are provided, cleaning products are provided. You provide everything else, and you come in and do the setup and tear down for your organization through that meeting room request link. And I'm happy to have you do that. And we look forward to hosting you here at MCF.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Simone Peterson, your Community Investment Officer with MCF. Just make sure. Okay, perfect. And I have the pleasure to primarily oversee our grants and scholarship processes, along with community initiatives and marketing communications for the foundation. One of our premier offerings at the foundation for nonprofits is Manatee Connects. Manatee Connects is a free networking and learning series hosted by Manatee Community Foundation to bring together nonprofit leaders, funders, and community partners. These gatherings are designed to strengthen relationships, spark conversation, collaboration, and share resources that help nonprofits thrive. And each session highlights timely topics, best practices, and opportunities for organizations to connect with one another and with MCF. The Manatee Connects programming comes from you. Any attendee that fills out a quick 2-minute survey, I read every submission and plan accordingly. So that's just a plug, even for after this Manatee Connect session. We'll send out a survey, quick 2 minutes, just need your input on those things. And then that is an example of how we came up with our December 3rd Manatee Connects, for example. Many surveys that I read were talking about how they were, nonprofits were having issues about recruiting and attracting and compensating employees. So again, listening to our nonprofits, that option became available for our December Manatee Connects. Upcoming Manatee Connects, probably I would say the top 3 items that I get asked is fundraising, grants, and then board membership. So on October 15th, we're going to have a fundraising basic. So for those who maybe their first foray into fundraising, or maybe a new board, new executive director, they want to get their feet wet and just understand more about fundraising in general. This is a perfect time to come in and listen to our speaker talking about fundraising basics. The next 3 series of events, again, is more so board governance, board recruitment related. Many nonprofits are struggling with having a active and engaged board. And so one of the things that we're piloting this year, we're going to see how it works and see how many times we can offer it per year, but it's called Manatee Board Link. And so what that does is the first 2 sessions, as you see there, October 21st and October 22nd, Those are virtual Zoom trainings one is for the nonprofit on how to onboard prospective board members. And then the second training is for people out there in the community who would like to serve on a board, getting them to really understand that it is not just showing up to a board meeting, checking off boxes, and you're done. There's a lot more that needs to be considered when being part of a board. And so that's what that second training is for. Then after those two trainings, it culminates into a mixer where the nonprofits and the potential board members, they mix and mingle in person at the St. Stephen's Poland Steam Center. I just want to level set, however, because there was someone that came up and like, oh, so I can walk out with a couple new board members. No, that's a terrible idea. You should not get to know someone just in that one meeting and sign them up on your board. This is more so, my hope is that you walk out maybe with a list of 5 or 6 people that are really passionate about your cause, and you're going out to coffee with them, or you're taking them out to lunch to learn more about them. Again, with this mixer too, this is something where these are people that you might not run into in your normal daily nonprofit operations. So that's another great benefit of this program. To participate in the actual mixer, we are prioritizing those who go to the virtual trainings. So make sure you sign up for that. I'll send out a link also with the survey after this, so that way you can get more information and register. But we highly, highly recommend participating in that. There is going to be a cap. I do feel like it's going to sell out, or not sell out, but basically it will be capped at capacity. And then again, December 3rd is all about HR related items for our nonprofit partners. All right, so before I get into our grants process, I do want to take a moment to explain how funding works at a community foundation, because I don't think many people realize the structure behind it. So at MCF, we manage several different types of funds. My colleagues, Mac and Jacob, kind of explained those. So we have our donor advised funds, designated agency funds. The last two that I really want to focus more so on are our field of interest funds. These are created by donors, often through their estate, who leave instructions for their dollars to be used in a specific area of community need. For example, we have a donor who passed who said, I am passionate about children's theater, arts, music, all the things related to art. And so he created a fund, a field of interest fund, just for children's theater. So we do have a lot of different funds like that where they are a field of interest. They don't designate a particular nonprofit. They just say within this interest area, any nonprofit serving this specific field would be eligible to receive funding from that particular fund. And then unrestricted funds, we all love unrestricted funds. We know what the great flexibility that it allows, not only your organization, but also same thing with MCF. It allows us the flexibility to respond to the most pressing needs in Manatee County as determined by our board, data, nonprofit input, and just our community investment process as well. When it comes to our competitive grant making, all the dollars that we have to give out to nonprofits are from those two funds, field of interest and unrestricted. So last year, those funds represented about 22% of our total available dollars to grant out, just to provide some context there. With going back to our field of interest funds, in particular, again, they're very specific, but we were able to basically filter them down into 4 specific areas. Again, they reflect donor intent that we're obligated to honor even after the donor has passed away. We can't go and change, going back to that example of children's theater, we can't say, there's a huge issue in Manatee County, with housing. We can't just switch those dollars and then focus it on housing or direct them to housing initiatives. So we have to keep with the donor intent, but at MCF, these field of interest funds are grouped broadly into 4 categories, which are animal welfare, health and human services, education, and arts and culture, specifically for youth. Those also coincide with our grant cycle. So these are areas, again, where we can competitively grant funding, and they are shaped directly by the generosity and vision of donors who just wanted to leave a legacy in our community. And again, that is how we have our grant cycles. So let's talk more about the process itself. Many people are saying, well, why the change? Well, for one, better customer service for nonprofits If you've ever applied for a grant with us before, instead of completing that lengthy application during each grant cycle window, nonprofits, they start with a simple form. If the idea aligns with the funding priorities, budget, and desired outcomes, the organization will be invited to submit a full proposal during a specific cycle that aligns with your organization's services that you provide. Secondly, clearer funding priorities. MCF, we like to be data informed and we like to make data informed decisions while still keeping in mind the lived experience of our nonprofit partners and those that they serve. So our grant cycles are now again organized into interest areas with specific focuses outlined in advance. So if you've gone to our website and checked out our grants page, you'll see there the grant cycle and then like the focus areas. Those focus areas, they link back to several data points that can be found either like in the Alice report or in the Tampa Bay State of the Region report. By breaking down the focus areas, this makes it easier for nonprofits to understand kind of what we're looking for to fund and then how their work fits into the greater goal of the community and uplifting the community. And then lastly, we want to move from being transactional to transformational. We understand when it comes to supporting our nonprofits, many times granting or funding is a piece of it, but many times it's just building the right connections for that nonprofit to get them out, either whether it's another resource, board governance, a training, something else aside from granting. So we want to go beyond just writing a check and build meaningful partnerships. So our new process encourages dialogue, learning, and collaboration. Again, ensuring that the grant dollars translate into measurable results for the community. But again, having that open dialogue after every cycle, grant cycle, I'll be reaching out to anyone who submitted an application, whether you were granted dollars or not, to kind of do an assessment like, hey, so looking at your application, here's what the community investment team said, or this is what some of the thoughts were. Here are some options for you. If, for instance, in looking at your application, the committee said that, oh, well, they don't seem like they're really strong in governance or strong in sustainability, then I would kind of go back, take that information and figure out, almost like writing a prescription to say, hey, this is kind of what they were saying in the application. You may be a strong nonprofit when it comes to the governance piece of it, and it just didn't come through in your application. Or if that is something that your nonprofit is struggling with, we can definitely connect you with the different either consultants or resources or trainings in the area to get you to that level where you're stronger in your next application. All right, so then let's talk about the actual grants process itself. There's 4 main steps. The first one, again, submitting a letter of intent. That's your first step. Think of it as like a snapshot of your program. The greatest tip that I can give here is be clear, concise, and specific about the need that you're addressing in Manatee County. You don't need to have every detail, but just make sure it's easy for us to understand what you want to do and why it matters locally. The second step is you'll receive feedback for your letter of intent. Our community investment team, we review every LOI. After that, all applicants are notified and some people will move forward to submit a full application. Again, if your LOI is not selected to move forward, it doesn't mean that your program isn't valuable. Most of the time what ends up happening is just we just don't have enough funding to fund your specific project. And when you stack up maybe your particular project up against the ones that are in that grant cycle, it just ranks low just because of maybe what you're trying to do, or again, budget. We just can't fund everything, unfortunately. Let's see. So next, those who are invited to move forward, you complete the full application. It gives you a chance to tell the full story in more detail. You'll add in your goals, the budget, the impact, and how you'll measure success. Strong applications show a clear connection to one of our focus areas, demonstrates realistic outcomes, and explain how you'll track results. Sharing both data and human stories makes your case stronger. So yes, data is important, but then also knowing the real impact that you're making with your with the people that you serve, that also helps move people to support, donate, volunteer, all the things. And then lastly, just the final decision. After the Community Investment Committee reviews the applications a month after they're due, staff will prepare the actual grant contracts and then notify applicants. Even if, I'm pretty sure, because there's no perfect organization, even if you're selected for a grant, there would be probably some things that we would recommend to you based on your application, or even just, again, just dialogue and talking with you all and saying, okay, are there some challenges that you're having within your nonprofit? What can we do to help? Can we, and just also just learning for us, because we do meet with other funders, but we also meet with other constituents from our community, government, businesses, things like that. So as we're hearing things coming from the nonprofit sector in our different relationships that we're building with the community, we may be able to come up with some innovative solutions to some of the issues that the nonprofits are facing. So again, that open dialogue, open door policy, where if something's going on, let us know, no judgment. We listen, we don't judge, if you're familiar with that. All right, so let's talk about grant cycles. There are 4 of them technically. Right now, tomorrow, we'll be opening up the grant cycle for animal welfare. So if you serve in the animal welfare space, it is your time to shine. You have from October 1st to the 16th to submit your letter of intent. And then we'll go into the application cycle and then the community investment meeting. Just so you know, there is no typo in the dates when it comes to arts and culture for youth and education. They will be happening at the same time. Next year they may not, but because of things that we have going on with the database transition, we kind of have to truncate our time a little bit. So we figured many times arts and culture and education typically go together, sometimes with many of our grant programs. All right. And then this page here is just showing you are able to go ahead and create an account on our new platform. When you sign in, and I believe it says see opportunities or apply at the top left, you'll be able to see, even though it's not open right now, you'll be able to see all the different cycles that's coming up for this fiscal year. And then if you click on, there's a button that says preview, you can actually see the application questions for the letter of intent. So if you wanted to get started, say, if you are a nonprofit that serves youth when it comes to arts and culture, you can go in there after you create your account, hit that preview button underneath that grant cycle and grab the questions from the LOI right there. So you can go back to your team and start looking it over. But I will say it is a quick, maybe 10 minutes if you really have a clear concept of what you're pitching for your grant project. Maybe 10 minutes, if that. Let's see. And then just some grant tips just in general. For those who may have received an MCF grant last year, make sure you have submitted your grant report before submitting another application. If you haven't received or if you haven't submitted that grant report, we won't be able to review a new application from you until that previous report is on file. When you are ready to apply, review the focus areas and select the grant cycle that best matches your program. I understand there's many nonprofits that might touch like those, maybe 3 out of the 4 grant cycles, but based on the project that you're looking for funding for, look at that and see the focus areas and which one best fits that project. Apply for what you need, though most of our grants are typically in the range of like $10,000. If we're unable to fully fund a project, we may place it in the giving catalog, what Fallon was talking about earlier, where donors can help meet the need. Again, you can go ahead and create your account to view the LOI questions, no problem there. The most common questions we get asked is what makes a successful application? Local impact matters. The request should focus on Manatee County. If only a small portion of the program serves Manatee residents, the application is less likely to be funded or maybe prorated, or again, going back to that example that I gave earlier, depending on the batch of grants that we receive for that grant cycle. If you're not serving a lot of Manatee County residents, you're probably going to go to the bottom of the list, especially if we're strapped for funding. So just FYI there. Alignment with focus areas. While not required, applications that connect to our focus areas are stronger, since those are the areas where MCF is most committed to making a difference. Making sure that your project is something that we fund. We do have on our grants page a listing of things that we do not fund, such as like, I would say food pantries. There's a lot of like sports teams for youth. There's a whole listing of those things on that grants page. So just making sure whatever you're looking to get grant funding for is not on that list. Very helpful. Proven results. It's really difficult to maybe have proven results for new programs, but I would say my advice for that is explain why the effort, your effort in this grant program would succeed. How will it help the intended population? The why behind it, and how you'll track the progress. That's typically the metrics that we use for if it's a newer program and you don't have existing results. Just making sure that it makes sense as far as what you're tracking, the benefits of it. Does it solve an actual community issue? That's what the grants committee would be looking for. And then for those programs that have been in existence, I'm pretty sure you would have data. So being sure to share that data, the stories that demonstrate effectiveness and impact, that will be great for your application. And this last piece here, in recent years, the Community Investment Committee and just funders in general over, everywhere really, have been placing a greater emphasis on organizational strength and sustainability. So what that means is strong governance is essential. We have a lot of nonprofits in our area that heavily rely on a single leader with a little board engagement. Those types of organizations are viewed as a higher risk to a funder. Funders worry that if the leader wins the lottery and gives a 10-hour notice that, hey, I'm not coming in, then what's going to happen with the nonprofit? The organization may collapse, they may be struggling, trying to figure out who the next leader is. So demonstrating an active, engaged board with a clear succession or sustainability plan, that strengthens your application. That's what many funders, again, if they're investing in your nonprofit and there is no strong sustainability or succession planning, what happens to that investment? So that's the biggest question that many funders, including MCF, are really looking at, and especially during these funding cuts and things like that over the next couple of years. All right. So with that, we are at the end, but it's not the end. It's the end for us talking at MCF. But if you all have any questions, feel free to come off of mute or enter it into the chat. But as those questions come in, thank you, everyone. Thank you for what you do to strengthen our community. One of the main reasons the Community Foundation exists is to support nonprofits like yours, because you truly are a community safety net. When your organization succeeds, our neighbors succeed, and all of Manatee County benefits from that. So we're here to listen and to help support you. So please don't hesitate to reach out, ask questions, have concerns, or even if you have any ideas. Hey, we're always down to listen and see what we can do, who we can connect with. But thank you again for joining us today. You will receive a copy of this recording along with a short survey, and we love to hear your feedback. So I will now check the chat here.
Simone, I'll jump in. I've been connecting with everyone on the call one-on-one, and one of the questions that came up is if we could share the QR codes for Changemakers Collective and for Manatee Connects again. So maybe we can quickly go back on that slide for Changemakers and Manatee Connects. Here's the Changemakers. So you might take a picture and access it later, or log on directly and share the link with yourself via your email or with others that you're having in mind might be great for this cohort. And then Simone, if you don't mind going to the Manatee Connects one as well, so everyone can get that link. Beautiful, thank you. Great. And I think we don't have any pending questions on the chat. So unless anyone has questions that they want to get off mute for, we will conclude the webinar. And again, thank you so much. And I think just as I say that, just some feedback. Great to see you too. Wonderful seeing everyone. Stay tuned for the recording. Yes,
I have
ma'am,
one
Angela?
quick question. Sorry. The Changemakers Collective. If we fill out the survey for the spring 2026 cohort, when would we find out back on that?
We will be looking for that in, I would probably say December.
Okay.
So at the very latest, because ideally that group has about no more than 8 people in there. So it's almost, hopefully we can get maybe close to 6 to 8 people in there that are interested. Then it will happen. Okay. But at least I would say by December, early January to say, hey, this is the cohort. If you're still interested, let's figure out best times and dates for this particular cohort.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Of course. All right. Let's see, no other questions? I don't think so. I think, Simone, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.